it's Nancy, and welcome back to the channel. You know, if you know anything about me, you know I love Asian cuisine. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorites, and I will do all types of trial runs to make my favorites at home. I mean, I'm serious. I've done ramen, I've done sushi, you know, I have done my favorite Korean dishes at home. For example, kimchi stews. I've done kimchi rice. You could find them right here on my channel, you know. So I love it. I will try my favorites at home. And today, oh my gosh, I have something so cool for you. You know, it's kind of dumb luck that I got this recipe. Kind of a trial and error thing. It was intentional, but at the same time, you know, I didn't expect it to be this great. And essentially it's steamed dumplings, you know, and it's 2-ingredient dough steamed dumplings. Wow, who would have thought, you know? 2-ingredient dough, you know, we've used it for our pizzas for years on the WW plan. We've done things like, you know, biscuits, or you could do all kind of things with the 2-ingredient dough, but steamed dumplings, oh my God, this is a dim sum lover's paradise, especially for someone like me. These were so yummy. I cannot wait to play with them and make them again. There is, of course, the 2-ingredient, you know, dough, which is fat-free Greek yogurt and self-rising flour. But then there's also our meat filling. And so I can't wait to show you how I did that, along with all of my Chinese seasonings or Chinese inspired seasonings, because none of this is authentic. But it has the wonderful taste of the dim sum that you can find in some of your favorite Chinese restaurants. It's certainly inspired by that, and the points are really, really good. So some of this was, like I said, intentional, and some of it was just kind of, I stumbled, you know, through this recipe and discovered that I could really kind of try this again and make it nicer looking, and, you know, come across something that is more maybe presentation worthy. But together, I want to show you what I did do and really enjoyed. So, are you ready? Okay, check it out. Okay, let's look at our ingredients. We have self-rising flour. We have fat-free Chobani Greek yogurt. We also have 1 egg and a little bit of sesame seed oil. All right, if you don't have sesame seed oil, it's fine. But I do love the flavor that it brings into the recipe. To a glass bowl, we're going to add 1 cup of the self-rising flour, 1 cup of the fat-free Greek yogurt. I'm using the Chobani brand, but of course you don't have to. Use whatever brand that you do have. And I'm going to use 1 egg. I like a little bounce in my 2-ingredient dough, making it now 3-ingredient dough. And because we're steaming our dough, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of this sesame seed oil, because I think it's just going to kind of aid to that steamed kind of texture. Okay, so we're going to give that a mix, and we're going to move on to our filling next. And one thing that I am going to do is scoop this mixture out of my glass bowl with a rubber spatula. It just makes it so much easier. And so to scoop it out of the glass bowl, I'm also going to add a little bit of that sesame oil to my hands so that it's just easier to manipulate and get onto a sheet of parchment paper and add to the refrigerator. So excuse me, once I get it out of that glass bowl, form it into somewhat of a ball, add it to my sheet of parchment paper, and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator for, you know, an hour, hour and a half, and kind of let it firm up on us. It's not going to get too firm. It's not like we're making cookies. It's not going to turn into that kind of dough, but it'll get a little bit firmer on us, which it allows us to work with it a little easier. And then it allows us to make the rest of our ingredients, which of course is the filling for our dumplings. All right, there we go. All right, let's move on to our fillings. We're going to use these chives that I picked up. Most of these I got from Trader Joe's. I have mushrooms. I also have this green and red cabbage. I have water chestnuts. I love water chestnuts. You can find them anywhere. They're canned. I have this 8% fat ground chicken. I also have garlic. And I have this Chinese 5-spice. I have minced onion. I also have some ground ginger for my seasonings. And I'm going to use a little bit of this Japanese barbecue sauce seasoning. And it's the miso one. But use whatever you have, So, teriyaki even if you have that. All right, let's mince our chives. And we're going to start with our water chestnuts. You're going to drain them, and then you want to start with kind of a chunky, chop to them. Once you get them out of your can and you drain them, just kind of go over them roughly with your knife, and then you want to get more of a mince with your cut, because what you want for your dumplings is that you do want some texture, right? I mean, you could run this through your food processor, but it's not the same. I like a little texture in my dumplings, So I'll show you what I do. So I got my water chestnuts into the glass bowl once I've gotten a little mince on them. Here is my mushrooms. I'm doing the same thing, giving them a rough chop, and then I'll go back over them and get kind of a finer mince chop. So now I'm bringing all of my ingredients back together. Here is my chive, my water chestnuts, and my mushrooms. And I'm really giving them a good work over. So getting that mince chop nice and fine. There we go. This reminds me of Thanksgiving. You know how you make a stuffing or your dressing and you really go over that celery and bell pepper and onion? That's what this reminds me of. So look at that really fine mince chop that you're going to get on your veggies. Okay, I'm also going to add some garlic. I can't do anything without garlic. So I have 4 or 5 cloves of garlic here. You don't have to use that much. I love garlic, of course. And again, you want to just make sure that you get a really good fine chop onto your garlic so that it incorporates well into the ingredients that you've already added into your bowl here. And then, of course, you want to add that cabbage. So I picked up this already kind of chopped cabbage from Trader Joe's. It's the purple and green, and it has carrot as well. And so, it's already there for you. And I thought that was really great. It had all of the little veggies there already. I'm just giving it a little once over to ensure that the pieces aren't too big, right? So just chopping it up. Okay, I'm adding my seasonings into my filling. Again, I mentioned to you minced onion here. I have a little bit of ground ginger. Of course, ginger is wonderful in something like this. And also, I have that Japanese barbecue seasoning. This is a brand that we've all seen before. This brand of sauce is everywhere. And also I'm adding my Chinese 5-spice here, which is, kind of key to this recipe, right? Because you, of course, want that kind of authentic taste. But this barbecue sauce here, it has a miso in it. And that also, I think, kind of aids to my Asian inspired taste, right? So make sure that you look for seasonings that kind of work in your favor in terms of your Asian inspired or Chinese inspired flavors, right? And of course, steamed dumplings are in all Asian cultures to some degree, Korean, Chinese, so you could find them throughout. So your flavor profile should match whatever it is you're trying to do. All right, so I added my ground chicken. I am going to go ahead and add just a little bit of salt and pepper just in the event I didn't do well enough on my seasonings. And it worked out to be okay. So I'm going to give this a stir. By the way, I used about not quite a pound of that ground chicken, maybe 3/4 of a pound of ground chicken. Okay? All right, so there I'm adding 1 egg to this mix as well. And I'm going to go ahead and give that a stir. And again, was kind of an experiment. All right, there is my filling mix. So while my measurements may not be exact on everything, again, it was just kind of an experiment. All right, we're going to let our ingredients chill for a bit while I take a little bit of a break. Okay, now let's get to making these steamed dumplings. So it's a bit of a process, and one of the first things that we want to do is to disinfect our countertop. And I did a pretty good job of that, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of flour to our countertop. And it turns out that this step was kind of unnecessary. But nonetheless, I went ahead and added a little flour because you never know. I'm adding a little bit of oil to my hands. I've removed my dough from the refrigerator and I'm pulling from that 2-ingredient dough to form a ball in my hands. All right, using the 2-ingredient dough, you always want to keep your hands with oil. It just makes it easier to work with. And you'll see this is a theme throughout working with the 2-ingredient dough in this video. So I'm going to measure and see how much dough I need to make my steamed dumplings. So I'm measuring for about 1.5 ounces. So once I get my 1.5 ounces, I am patting my ball of dough to about a silver dollar size. And there it is, showing you my 1.5 ounces. And again, about a silver dollar size pancake. I'm going to add that to the palm of my hands, the dough. And again, just making sure that kind of stretches across the palm of my hand because it's easier to work with. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead, take my spoon, and I'm going to add about a heaping tablespoon, I'd say, of this mix, the ground chicken mix, to the top of the dough, the top of my palm. And then what I'm going to do is take my fingertips and roll up that 2-ingredient dough and seal the dumpling. Okay? So take my fingertips and roll up the dough until it closes that dumpling and creates kind of a seal, There you go. Roll it back and forth in my hand. Make sure that it is sealed on all sides. And there we go. Dumpling number 1. Pretty big size, right? So there we go. Dumpling number 1. Pretty easy process. So I thought. All right. Now, here's where the fun begins. So we're going to move on to our next dumpling. So I've sprayed a little oil. I have a little bit of residue of dough on my fingers, but I don't worry about it. I pull from my pile of 2 ingredient dough, and I think I've made my first mistake with here, which is I added a little too much dough. So I am going to go ahead and take a little bit of dough off here, add it to my scale again, see if I've gotten any closer. I think I still have too much. So I'm going to try again. Add it back to my scale, and this time I think I've gotten closer to the 1.5 ounces that I want. And but in the meanwhile, my hands some of the oil has kind of dissipated. I've manipulated this, dough a little bit too much, I think, but nonetheless, we kind of got it together. We're going to keep molding the dough, roll it into that ball, and flatten it out like a pancake, to the size again of a silver dollar across the palm of my hand. And then once we do that, we're going to add our filling, and again to the top of the tops of the dough around the top of the palm of my hand and roll it up. But you see, I'm having some issues with this one. And I think, again, it's because I've manipulated this dough. It's kind of a sticky mess at this point. So I'm going to give up. I think a couple of issues here. One, again, I don't think I had enough oil on my hands. I think I manipulated that dough a little too much. And I don't think I spread it out enough over the tops of the palm of my hands. And so it didn't work out well enough, this second one. So I've tried to add a little dough. It didn't work. So I'm just going to kind of toss this one aside and start over again. So there we go. So I'm going to clean my hands, toss that one aside, and we're going to try again. Okay, but this is an important piece to it. I want you to pay attention. Okay, so let's try again. Got a new piece of parchment paper, added a little oil there, added some cooking oil to my hands. Clean hands, I think that is an important aspect here. Pulling some more of that 2-ingredient dough. I think I'm getting a little better at estimating the size that I need, dropping that onto my scale. I've gotten it right, about 1.5 ounces. My hands are nice and oiled. They're clean. Flattening that dough out in my hands, spreading it across the palm of my hands to, again, the size of about a silver dollar pancake. I don't want to manipulate it too much, but I want to spread it across the palm of my hands pretty good so that when I add my filling, I can make sure that it fits in there pretty good, so that when I go to seal it up, it will seal completely across. And I think that's pretty important too. So there it goes. I'm going to add my filling. And then again, I'm going to use the tips of my finger to roll up that 2-ingredient dough. It almost looks like an empanada, right? So I'm almost rolling it like an empanada and sealing it like an envelope. You see that? Well, it looks really good. Like an empanada or like a little hand pie, And there it is, dumpling number 2. All right, there we go. Okay, let's get going. And we are going to do the last dumpling. Okay, that's the last one. And what I'd like for you to do is take a look at all of this extra dough and filling here over to the side. These are the extra pieces of dough unsuccessfully that I tried to make dumplings out of. But of course, I'm not going to waste all of this goodness. And so, what I've decided to do is just combine the dough and the meat together. All right, from our mix, we have 3 dumplings. And I'm going to go ahead and add those dumplings to my steamer. And I'm using a tamale pot. And it worked really well here. I allowed my water to get hot and added my dumplings on top and cooked for about 20 minutes. Now, remember I said that the flour was kind of a waste of time? Way too much flour. Don't do this step if you can't. And look how much filling I have left. All right. So those pieces that I combined, the flour, or I should say the dough and the meat are mixed in with my dumplings, and they turned out so tasty, guys. Look at this. So I'm going to go ahead and plate. Again, the cook time in the steamer was maybe 20-25 minutes. And I allowed my steamer to get nice and hot, let that water get to a rolling boil, and then added the dumplings on top. And cooked for a good 20-25 minutes. And there is my dumpling. It's a good sized dumpling, And it almost reminds me of a bao bun. And then the little ones on the side. Now, this is what I mean by presentation. I'm going to have to figure out a way to make this look more like something like a shumai, something that you get out of a dim sum place. But wow, I did some fresh chives. Look at that dumpling. Again, that reminds me of a bao bun. Added my favorite chili oil. And this surprisingly was such a treat, guys. I'm telling you. 2-ingredient dough. Wow. I'm counting this as a serving for 2, 6 points each. So a total of 12 points for the entire dish. Minus the chili oil. Oh my gosh, amazing. That's amazing. That is really amazing. This is just like restaurant dim sum. From freaking 2-ingredient dough. Wow. I'm shocked and hungry. So I'm going to finish this. Amazing. Can you believe that? What did you think of my steamed dumplings? That is incredible, right? And I'm so inspired to go back and do like bao buns or something like that, And so I can't wait to play around with it. Of course, I froze the rest of that filling so I can go back and play more with those dumplings and try again, like I said earlier, to make my presentation a little bit, tighten that recipe up, maybe make those dumplings that were just kind of cast aside, accidentally, that I accidentally made, make those look a little better. But the taste is what matters the most. And man, they were delicious. And I can't wait to make them again and really kind of get the accuracy on the point count, right? Because I couldn't really get them exact, but I think I got really close. So, they were so good. I can't wait to try it again, like I said. So I hope that you enjoyed that. Did you get any ideas? What did you think? let me know in the comments. All right, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Again, let me know what you thought about that. I was just so happy that I came across that, and again, can't wait to play with that again. All right, guys, take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.